The world of EMC testing and the test equipment for the EMC world is just a completely different ecosystem. And with Informationstechnik Nützel, there is a small new test equipment company which is basically specialized on power consumption analysis inside of the EMC chamber. And what this means in practice and how the things work, I'm now going to show you in the next video. Let's start out with the big why. The idea of the whole system by Nützel is that in many cases weird EMC behavior can be tracked via the current or the voltage behavior of the device under test. And the AMS system now consists of two parts. Part number one is a battery powered sensor which lives inside of the EMC chamber, and as you see here, basically the current that flows through it and also the voltage, but that's for later, gets monitored. And this thing is battery powered. So there is an optical link to a second part, to the transceiver, and this transceiver is then connected to the PC, which actually will handle, process or display the information. So, and in we go. And we see these people really know what they are doing. I've rarely seen packaging material like that. But yes, here inside we have the actual box. Informationstechnik Nützel, the AMS. So, and here we have the inside box, which we are now going to tear down next. And we see beautiful cut foam, a USB cable of very good quality, the optical link fibers, a QR code with some extra information, and then here we've got the actual two units, the one which goes into the chamber and the other one which will be sitting outside. And these are really solid, heavy pieces of metal, and before we look at them, they feel really well made. We just have to throw them onto our precision scale. And here we've got the first unit, which with the connector guards in place weighs 666.71 grams. This is just a lot of fun. And for the second guy, he clocks in at 146.54 grams. And one more very neat aspect, here you've got an USB stick and you've got two raw current connectors. What they will do, we will look at in the next step. The first thing we are looking at is the actual current measurement unit, which with this button can be switched on. And basically here you've got the current pass, which very neat connector. I really like the design on these. And 3 MMCX connectors for measuring the voltages. And then here at the back we've got the optical link and we've got an USB-C connector mainly for charging the unit, but in theory it can also be used for direct data acquisition. And yes, below these two condoms you have the actual optical link. And then here we've got the second part, which also connects optically and USB-C. And this then is the outside of chamber unit, which connects to the workstation to acquire the data. And we have to say once again here that the construction is just incredibly well done. You've got at the bottom these feet that it doesn't scratch the table surface, and it's a very, very solid, very, very charmingly designed case. And sadly, I'm not allowed to open it because these are, of course, loaner units. But I have to say, this is a very, very beautiful design. And this coin, which falls out when you open the case, is another really, really neat touch, because it sits on here. And the idea is that it prevents the foam from pressing the power on button. This is just an insane level of detail, and I have to say, I like it. So now here at the front, we've got MMCX connectors. The reason why these were chosen probably is you see how the housing is relatively thick compared to the connector cut. And if you look at the classic books such as the one by Worth, then you see that this is done to minimize the amount of EMI able to creep into the device via these connectors. The one caveat emptor is that the MMCX connectors are not included in the package. So depending on what you can source locally, sometimes you need to play a little bit, such as what I've been doing here. I was able to buy locally what you see here, MMCX to RPSMA. And then I found in my laboratory first a tranny from RPSMA to SMA. Then I found an adapter, SMA to bayonet Neil Constellman. And then finally I found an adapter, bayonet Neil Constellman to voltmeter. And so all of this, I will put it together into a whip, and this whip we will then connect to one of the voltage inputs. As for the current, this is the suggested connector, but I'm not in the mood to solder to it, so we will just experiment with a banana plug and see what happens. What we are going to be doing is we're going to be using the SMU just as a stupid laboratory power supply. We are going to run the current across the AMS into an electric load, and then we're going to be using the V0 input to measure the current across the input and the output of the shunt. I mean, this is now not the most interesting measurement, and the results, because of the whip which we used, will not be particularly accurate, but it will give us a good feeling of how the system actually handles itself. The first step is that we go here and we download the AMS viewer software file. And that's just a zip archive which we need to extract to a convenient location in the file system. And when we have this done, here we can start amsv.exe, and now we see that it complains because it detects this has been downloaded. So we have to go here, we have to trust the file, and now we can run it. And now we are starting the Nützel software, and we see it hasn't connected yet. So now, of course, we need to connect the base unit, and then we take the next step. What we have here are a total of 4 condoms, which are around a B and C for optics. And essentially the connection is, you see here we have an A and a B, and we need to always connect the A and the B to one another. And yes, you shouldn't do this with the whip already connected, because an MCX connector is not particularly strong. Either way, you need to be careful to get A and B right. Then you remove the condoms here. Do not touch the front. And then you must of course remember B here is black because B and A is red. And these are pretty neat optical coax connectors. I have to say I like them. I mean, it's difficult to put them together when you are filming, but you get the idea. And yes, just to clarify, you see here there is a little ridge and there is a similar little ridge here on the connector. So unlike with a true bayonet Neil Conselman, you need to be careful to get the alignment perfect and don't apply excessive force. Yes, here you see it again from the inside also, the little head. And now the interesting question is, where does the USB-C cable go? It can either go into the AMSU, and then this guy here needs to supply itself from its battery, or it can go in here for charging the thing or for direct communication. But because here we want to really Nützel out all the way, we plug it in. This is my trusty Logitech cable. Be careful that it fits the snout because the cutout is relatively small. And now we can power it on via the workstation, and then we mesh here the button. And in the next step we have to go and hunt. We click refresh COM ports, then we select the correct COM port, and then we connect. And then we already see that the Nützel software here, it has identified its victim and it gives us some information about the power conditions. And here we have the voltage 0, the voltage 1, the voltage 2 and the current. And now of course we know what we want to do next. We want to torture the thing. Here now we've got the actual realistic test setup. We see here we have the SMU, then we have the Nützel thing, and below we've got my electric load, which I will then use to generate various nuisances. And just for reasons of posterity, here we see the setup on the SMU, and we can then push this button to start the process when we are ready to go. The electronic load is ready to fight, and it's just waiting for us to switch everything on. And now it's time to push fire on the SMU. And we see that the current has been detected, that the voltage has been detected, and if we look in here, we also see that the SMU is pushing through the current and the voltage into the power supply. Of course, because there is a lot of weird cabling and because that whip is not particularly effective, there are all kinds of losses, but we see in principle it seems to work pretty well. And incidentally, the voltage that we are measuring is not the SMU's voltage, but it's the voltage which is being dropped across the AMS sensor. And now, as a little test, because for some reason I'm too dim to set this up correctly at the moment, I will be demonstrating you something else, namely the influence of the resistor's own noise. And you see now on the current diagram how the waveform is relatively quiet. And when I now go for 30 amps, you see a lot more noise on the current waveform. And this is caused because this resistor's noise is now amplified by a factor of 10. So let's go back to 3 ampere once again, and we see that it quiets down quite a bit more. One thing which is very important and which you must keep in mind during the next scenes is that the AMS is very sensitive to polarity. And I connected basically a bipolar supply to the thing, and this leads to the weird waveforms which you are seeing in the following steps. What is very important is that the performance in the next few minutes is not indicative of the system, but I leave the video inside because it shows how the software behaves. And no, I cannot film it again because I already sent the AMS2 back. Either way, playback. And for the next test, we are going to be using only the voltage indicator. We're going to leave current open. And you see here, this is one of the things where it really makes sense to replace the trackball, which I usually use, with a mouse which has a wheel, such as here I'm using my Glorious Gaming, because you see that with the wheel I can scroll in and out. And incidentally, this weird waveform that we are seeing here is being generated by my Tektronix Danaher function generator, and I will be showing you the waveform also. And now we are going to be reducing the oversampling, so now we of course get more noise, but now we also see the waveform, which is in theory a ramp and which doesn't look all that rampish. So now in the next step we are going to first ask for a hard copy. And after the hard copy we are going to be going for a sign. And now we have to clear the screen, so we have to disconnect and reconnect to the thing. And now here we see our sign, which of course, because this is an old Danaher AVG which has no height set, the voltages are not corresponding because I didn't put inside the terminator. But here we see that it is signish. As the next thing we are going to do is, of course, again, we will ask for a hard copy. And then we are going to go for a square wave. And of course, again, we have to clear up the screen, disconnect, connect. And now we see again some kind of capacitive jumpy waveform. So, well, again of course at 1 Hertz. But what we need to understand is that this unit here is not intended for this type of it's basically not intended to interact against a function generator. So what we are doing here is practically abuse. But either way, you see that the voltage measurements do also work. And yes, the battery lifetime of this thing is absolutely bonkers and perverted. I've been playing with the thing now for a week, and you see, I've barely been able to burn 5% of the battery. So this really deserves praise. And with that, I'm very thankful. I hope you enjoyed this little movie. See you soon. And if you have any questions, leave them here.